Hello children, today we are going to start our second chapter of standard ninth, chapter number 8. The name of the chapter is Framing of the Constitution and its Salient Features. This is the first chapter of the civic portion of your standard ninth social science book. So without making any late, let us start this particular chapter, lecture number 1. First of all, what is constitution? Now this might be the question into your mind. What is constitution? Then this can be a definition. A constitution is a set of rules. See, it is a set of rules that guide how a country, state or other political organization work. Okay, so it guides us how to rule a country. The constitution may tell what branches of the government are. See, it also tells us about the parts of or the bifurcation of the government. What powers they have, means what is the rules, what is the regulations, what are their functions, all is allocated into constitution. And how they work and how they work. It may also state the rights of the citizen. It also may state about the rights of the citizen. So you can say that constitution, it's like the manual that you get along with your new mobile phone. Okay, when you buy a new mobile phone, you get a manual with it. That manual tells you each and everything related to mobile phone, how you can change the ringtone, how you can dial a number and all other things. The most other important part, it is written, say, okay, it is written, but in some cases it is not written also. Okay, fundamental legal document is a written fundamental means basic. Fundamental is the basic legal document. It is a living document. Now this is a very important thing. It is a living document. Now why it is considered living document? Because time and again changes are made into constitution. Okay, we will see into the further video how changes are made and related things to it. Our constitution is one of the largest constitutions, or rather not the one of the largest, but the largest constitutions and the lengthiest constitution in the world. And it is above all the laws. It is superior to all the laws. Okay, any law needs to compile as per the constitution. Second, the preamble. The preamble. Now what is a preamble? Now this is the photograph of the Indian Constitution preamble. Okay, this is the preamble. Now preamble, see, the preamble to the Constitution is a brief introductory statement. It is a kind of a short understanding. It helps us to understand the Constitution in a better way. It's kind of a, it's preface. It's kind of a introduction to the Constitution that sets out guidelines which guides the people of the nation. See, it sets guidelines and it guides the people how to interpret the Constitution, how to understand the Constitution in the most important way, and to present the principles of the Constitution. The hopes and aspirations of the people are described in it. Okay, what does the people of that particular nation, okay, in this case in nation of India, wants from the Constitution is described into it. So you might see this is the photograph of the preamble of the Constitution of India. Now articles and appendices. Now this will not be into your textbook, but this is very important point for your easy understanding of this particular chapter. At present, there are 448 articles in 25 parts. Okay, now Constitution is divided into different parts for easy understanding and easy study up. There are presently 448 articles. Now, what is an article? Article can generally be, see, I have given the definition. Article is generally referred to the provision in the Constitution. It is type of short part of that particular Constitution. There are 12 schedules into it, 5 appendices and 98 amendments in the Indian Constitution. See, okay, so 448 articles, 25 parts, 12 schedules, 5 appendices, 98 amendments in Indian Constitution. When it was framed, at that time there were 395 articles into it, 22 parts, 8 schedules at the time of commencement. When it started, this was the condition, but right now you can see it have increased up, and that's why we can say that the Constitution of India is living, is a living constitution or a living document. Okay, the construction framer, okay, the constructors means those people who constructed it, okay, and those people who framed it, okay, the constitution, right, the constructor and the framers. The Constitution was passed by the Constitution Assembly on November 26, 1949. This date needs to be remembered. Okay, whatever things I am underlining with my red color pen is very important, and it's need to be remembered and noted down if possible, because this will help you to remember the answers easily. Next, it came into force. Now it was passed by the Constitution Assembly on November 26, 1949, but it came on force on January 26, 1950. Now, why did the Constitution Assembly or the nation waited for few months to pass it? Now, there is a story behind choosing this particular date, that is 26 January. Why only 26 January? Why not 1st January? It will be easier to remember for if it was passed on 1st January. But 26 January was chosen. Why? See, on 26 January was chosen because in December 1929, in Lahore session, now you have already studied in your 8th standard that Congress used to meet at different places for their annual sessions. So in 1929, it had met in Lahore. Congress has passed the resolution for Purna Swaraj. At that time, Congress asked for Purna Swaraj from the Britishers. Purna means complete independence, but the complete independence was not given, and that's why they decided to celebrate every year 26 January every year as Independence Day. They decided that 26 January will be celebrated as Independence Day, but we got independence on 15th of August 1945. So this became our Independence Day. So how to make this particular date important, or how to note it into golden letters into into the Indian history? Then it was decided that our Constitution will be implemented on that particular day, and that's why 26 January 1950 was chosen to implement the Constitution of India, and that is known as our Republic Day. It is known as our Republic Day. Now you can see here the President of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, signing the Constitution. This is a very historical photograph. Okay, so the then President of India, or the first President of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, signing the Constitution. This is Jawaharlal Nehru, the then PM. He was the first PM of independent India. He is addressing, here Jawaharlal Nehru can be seen, and he is addressing the Constitution Assembly. Here you can see other members and Jawaharlal Nehru sitting into the parliament, into the session. This is a very important person. His name is Prem Behram Naren Raizada. He was an Indian calligrapher and he wrote. Now you should be remembering that our constitution is not printed. It was handwritten. Who handwrote it? Who wrote it in a very beautiful letters, in calligraphic letters? Then this person, Mr. Prem Behrai, he wrote it, and he is noted for being the calligrapher who wrote the Constitution of India. It took him almost 3 years to do so. It took 3 years to write it, and he has written it in very beautiful letters. You can see this is very important. In the bottom side of the preamble, you can see in a very short hand the sign of Mr. Sinha. Okay, the person or the artist who did it, the sign is written there, or it is marked there. Now our constitution was decorated with beautiful drawings. See, you can see this is from part 13th of the constitution. This is from part 3rd, fundamental rights from the constitution, and this all drawings were done by the artist from the Shanti Niketan, that was the institution by Rabindranath Tagore. Here you can see Rajendra Prasad along with Mr. Prem, who is inspecting the draft of the constitution, the first copies of the constitution. Now, framing of the constitution. In the year 1945, British government sent cabinet mission. Now we need to remember cabinet minister. Cabinet ministers were 3 ministers. There were 3 ministers who came from England to solve the problem of India. The Constitution Assembly was constituted and they formed the Constitution Assembly. Constitution Assembly is basically a group which was responsible for making the constitution. The assembly started working on December 9th, 1946. See, they started working on December 9, 1946. It had total 389 members into it. See, this assembly had 389 members. This all data which I am underlining or highlighting needs to be remembered. Out of the 389, 296 were members from British province and 93 belonged to princely state. Now we need to remember at that time India was divided mainly into 2 parts. One that was belonging to the Britishers and second part which were the princely state. So 296 members were from area which belonged to Britishers, while 93 members were from the princely states. Members belonging to different political parties were also included. It say not only members from different province states but also from different political parties like the Congress, the Muslim League, the Forward Front, and all of them were also included into it. 30 members from scheduled caste were also included. So from all type of religion also people were included in the formation of the constitution. Frank Anthony represented the Anglo-Indian community. This can come into a blank. He represented Anglo-Indian. Anglo-Indian basically means those Britishers who are born into India but their origins are English. So they people are termed as Anglo-Indian communities. So he represented them. H.P. Modi represented the Parsis. H.P. Modi, the photograph we'll see in the next slide, represented Parsis. There were also constitution experts into these assemblies like the Alyadi Krishna Swami Iyengar, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, K.M. Munshi, etc. There were others who were also along with it. Female members were also included to keep equality into the assembly. Sarojini Naidu, Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit were some of the female members included into the Constitution Assembly. This is the photograph of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Alyadi Krishna Swami Iyengar, K.M. Munshi, Dr. Homi P. Modi. He represented the Parsi. He represented the Parsi community. The female members Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit and Sarojini Naidu were also included in the Constitution Assembly. Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the chairperson. He was the chairperson of the Constitution Assembly. This needs to be remembered. Don't confuse yourself between this thing. The chairperson of Constitution Assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Chairperson means the head of Constitution Assembly, while Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar was the chairperson of drafting committee. Now drafting committee comes under the Constitution Committee. Drafting means to make the constitution, to write what matters to be included into the constitution, what things will be included into the constitution, all the things is called drafting. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairperson or head of drafting committee, while Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the head of the Constitution Assembly. Constitution Assembly met for 166 days. See, they in total met for 166 days over 2 years. In 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. Okay, you have to remember shortly like this. You can remember shortly like this: 2, 11, 18. 2, 11, 18. 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. The Constitution Assembly met for total 166 days in 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. Now this is the photograph of the drafting committee. This is the photograph of the drafting committee. From the left you can see, okay, there were S.N. Mukherjee, Jugal Khanna, Keval Kishan, then N.M. Rao, then Syed Sadullah, then Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was the head of the drafting committee, who was the chairperson of drafting committee, K. Iyengar and B.N. Rao. So these were the members of the drafting committee. The constitution had incorporated some features from British, Irish, French, German and USSR and American constitution. So it has taken a lot of things, and that's why Indian constitution is termed as a bag of borrowing. A bag of borrowing means it has taken good things from other constitutions of the world. This particular photograph is of British constitution. This is from American constitution. Now what concepts are taken from different constitutions? Say the preamble of the constitution of was inspired by US constitution. The preamble is taken from the US constitution, we the people. Okay, you can see we the people is from American constitution. Here also you can see we the people, and in Indian constitution also it starts from we the people. The idea of liberty, equality and fraternity comes from the French constitution. Okay, so idea of liberty, equality and fraternity. Fraternity means brotherhood. Fraternity means brotherhood. It comes from the French constitution. The concept of 5-year plans. Now you might be knowing that our government is following a economic system which tells us about 5-year plans, decide for 5-year plans. So that is taken from the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic or USSR. SSR. The law of governing our Supreme Court and concept of procedure established by the law means how the law will work, which court is the highest, which comes under, all that thing and rules related to it, articles related to, is taken from Constitution of Japan. So Japan we have taken from it. India borrowed the concept of suspension of fundamental rights during emergency. See, whenever there is emergency into the country, then the fundamental right of the people is terminated, and this particular concept is taken from Weimar Constitution of Germany. Okay, it is taken from the Weimar Constitution of Germany. So we can see that our constitution framers have borrowed a lot of things from other constitution and may put into our constitution to make it one of the biggest and the lengthiest constitutions in the world.